All right, rock and roll, everybody. Well, technically rock and roll on the stage, and that's exactly what we're talking about because UOG Theater has a lot of exciting things going on this semester, and Madison Scott and Troy McVeigh are with the UOG Theater Department, production company, auditorium, everything that's awesome about the performing arts. You guys definitely have a hand in. So, Happy New Year to both of you. It's good to see you.
Happy New Year to you.
Okay, two things that we're going to talk about today, right? Pride and Prejudice, and then there's a CHamoru festival that's coming up. So, can we talk about Pride and Prejudice first, Madison? Because I can't think of any other play that kind of like would encapsulate. I'm probably going to get dragged for this about CHamoru history than Pride and Prejudice. Like that works so perfectly. And I don't think Jane Austen has ever been done like on Guam, like formally and everything. So what brought this about?
Well, I would be shocked if it had never been done, but that's really exciting if it's the first one. Pride and Prejudice is actually the second show in our upcoming spring season. CHamoru Play Festival is first at the end of February. But so we'll be performing at the end of April, and it's super delightful, super irreverent. It's not your grandmother's Austen, is sort of how the playwright describes it. So Kate Hamill has adapted the book into a play that is very high energy, very focused on multiple relationships, not just on romance, which is more true to the novel than maybe some other adaptations have taken it more toward the romance. So it's full of love and heart and humor, and yeah, it's not quite as stuffy as you might be imagining. There are going to be beautiful Regency costumes, and there's going to be maybe some like modern dance breaks, you know? Very,
very cool. So there it is, of course, by Kate Hamill. Please go out there and check it out, everybody, because it is going to be cool. Of course, directed by our very own Madison here. What was that experience like? Because you've got several directorial credits under your belt at this point. What made this so unique?
So yeah, I am still pretty new to the directing game, and what I'm discovering so far is I love romantic comedies, which my favorite movie is You've Got Mail, so I don't know why I'm surprised by this. But yeah, I chose it because I think it's exciting for UOG students to have the chance to do things like our Guam set Much Ado About Nothing that was last spring with Breaking Wave, CHamoru Play Festival, things that feel very tied to their life and their heritage, and part of theater is you can transport yourself somewhere else. And so it's exciting and important for them to have an opportunity to transform into a different person somewhere else, sometime else. And with all of that said, acting relies on the spirit of the actors, and so they're going to be able to bring a lot of themselves to it.
And I love these contemporary twists that are put on, you know, these, you know, I don't want to say old, but you know, these classic stories, either from literature or from the stage and everything. And they kind of put like a little modern twist on it. Troy, do you remember that movie that came out? It was Hamlet 2000 with Ethan Hawke, and Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark, was supposed to be he was a CEO of a big company, and they said in that it was a fantastic telling of Hamlet. I really dug that one.
Okay. No, I did not see that.
Okay, moving right along. Okay, but more important to what's going on locally is, of course, with local relevance, is the CHamoru Festival. So, what exactly does it entail, and how does this all weave together?
Thank you. So, the CHamoru,
weave, like what I did there.
Yeah. Yes. The CHamoru Play Festival was an idea of this similar sort of students should experience different things, and it has been a while since we have performed CHamoru plays on stage. When we started, we was like, okay, well, we've already done these plays, so we've got them, and we wanted to think a little bit about the Festback experience because it's coming up again, right? So the idea of seeing different shows in the same night and different shows on different nights, and having our student actors go through that experience. It's like, oh, what night are we doing this show? So we have ended up with an exciting lineup. We have 2 plays from Peter Onodera. We have 2 plays from Dakota Camacho, and we have 2 or 3 shorter plays from Andrew Roberto up in Saipan. So we have
KUM alumni, actually.
Yes. So, well, he's a UOG alumnus, and he's up at 500 sales in Saipan. We'll give a plug for that.
Yep.
And between the 3 of them, right, we have Guam's master playwright. I'm referring to Andrew A.D. as an emerging playwright, and Dakota is doing both an older piece and a newer piece. It's a performance art solo works.
He's kind of the fusion guy. I mean, he really is kind of like that kind of, again, blending the old school with the new school.
Absolutely.
Infinite Dakota, the guy, like, he's very talented.
He is, and he will be performing one of his own pieces. And for the first time, so his big growing experience is we have a student who is going to learn a piece that was done a decade ago on Guam at the Marianas History Conference. And sort of it's the first time that Dakota has passed his work on to another artist. Now they've already started rehearsals. They're not part of this audition process, but they're having a fantastic time because they are learning how to be true to the culture, true to their contemporary lives, and they're telling deep, complicated stories. A.D. Andrew's work is very similar. Like he's a young guy and he's writing about living now. Like he's got people sitting on the beach at the Mermaid Tavern when it was still there, and they're happening in places that people have been, and they can imagine the location in their minds, and he's telling stories and having conversations that I hear people having. Andrew has a gift for conversation. Like you'll watch it and you will remember having this conversation with someone. You will remember watching other people have this conversation.
When he worked for me here, one of his, I absolutely agree. One of Andrew's redeeming qualities was his ability to empathize. He really kind of like knew, it's like, okay, I know what it's like to go through this situation, or I can create, kind of like this space that other people can relate to. Yeah, he's very, very good.
And then Peter also, of course, he's Guam's master playwright. And he has this, there's one of these 6 plays that's completely in Chamorro. And he has written, it's, I don't want to say the Chamorro wrong, but it's Ancient Beliefs is the English translation. And it has monologues from important historical male figures. And then he has some women characters. There's the Sirahano, and there's others who are working together on a problem. So it's very much steeped in tradition and history, and it shows sort of the gender differences between how men react to things, how women work together on things. And then he also has the play that he was passionate about when I asked him to be involved is a more contemporary play. It's mostly in English, and it's about a gentleman who's at a nursing home in the States, a Chamorro gentleman at a nursing home in the States, and how that challenges his identity, it challenges his sense of place and time, and then he's there long enough, and then his family sort of finds him. He's challenged in a new way. He doesn't know that.
Well, that's deep.
Yeah,
because I can kind of get that. It's like, okay, you're away from the place that you call home, so you almost like lose your sense of self and your identity, and yet you're becoming part of a new community, and then your family comes back. So you're
they're telling
continually conflicted maybe
stories.
This is their
really
I'm not trying to
done.
analyze. I mean, this is obviously like their art, but that is fascinating. Madison, if I may, because I remember when you first came in here and we did our first interview, it was kind of maybe halfway through the pandemic, right? Yeah. More or less. I remember you saying something that's always stuck with me to this day, is you said, it's going to be interesting to see, speaking of art, like what is created, especially on the stage, coming out of the pandemic, from like themes like health scares, fear, frustration, opportunity, people finding, like, because we're all so isolated for that 3-year period and everything like that, finding something different about ourselves. Are you seeing that kind of like art being, either proposed or created, or, are people saying like, like I can do something with this because of what I went through?
I do think that there is a focus that has been born out of like time to sit with oneself that has created some interesting things like here on Guam. The main thing coming to mind is actually an upcoming Breaking Wave project, or I guess an in-process Breaking Wave project, which is the oral storytelling project. And so a woman, I believe her name is Jana Schoedemeyer, is part of the diaspora and lives stateside and is in college. And she came back and did a workshop this summer with artists here that involved interviewing family members, interviewing members of the community, and creating a local oral storytelling theater project. And that sense of focus on oneself and one's community feels like one of the gifts of the pandemic, I think.
Yeah, well, art does absolutely reflect sentiment. Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see what that comes out. But for the more immediate moment, please make sure to check out Pride and Prejudice, directed by Madison, and then the Chamorro Play Festival. Guys, where can people get tickets, and can they do so online?
Before tickets, there are auditions, which are next week. So there are no tickets online.
You might need a cast before you buy tickets.
Yeah.
So that's why you're good at this and I'm not.
Auditions are next Tuesday and Wednesday at 6:30 at the
go.
UOG Theater. If you have a prepared monologue, we'd love to see it. And if not, that's okay. We will give you stuff to do, games, sides, all that. Anyone is welcome, community member or student, alumni or not. We want to see you. And then tickets will be available eventually at the door.
Are you looking for any particular kind of performer? Like, you know, must have a background in some sort of comedy, or, you know, like have, you know, old school stuff? Or?
We're really open, I think.
Okay. Because I did Grease when I was in like the 3rd grade. Like, do I qualify?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then, Troy, what about you? Like,
No, so they're shared auditions, and we're actually sort of juggling. We were talking about what to do, and usually it's a very formal, like, oh, you do this, and then you do this, and do this, and I'm like, no, I want to play a couple games. And she had a couple games in mind as well. So we say no preparation, and we mean it. Like, we want you to, if you're excited about your culture, if you're excited about the classics, it doesn't matter. We want you to come in. You'll be doing different games with us. We will give you some short sides, right? It's time to read it, learn it, and then in a sort of a controlled circumstance, not in front of everyone, but in front of us. So we encourage anyone to come in. We have parts of all ages between these two shows, and both of us are sort of thinking in a company aspect. So we're thinking about 8 to 10 people who are playing multiple roles. So if, like, I need an old guy. I need a couple of old women. I need young people. We need people of both genders. We need people willing to, oh, is this sort of like more what a woman does or a man does? We need people to explore all sorts of nuances of humanity. So we're pretty open of anyone who's just interested. If you've been in, one of our theater students, because of the pandemic, the last play they were in before working with us was like a middle school play. Right? So if you were the 3rd tree in that 2nd grade production, we welcome you to come out with us, because you've grown a lot and changed a lot. But if you have a passion, if you want to stand in front of people, you want to share stories, we want to work with you.
and now that little twig has become a full-blown, you know, fully capable, like, coconut tree.
Nice.
And
nice.
UOG Theater needs you. So please make sure to go out, audition, make sure to get tickets and everything, because you guys always do fantastic work, and we truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Madison, Troy, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, please stay tuned. We are talking to the Guam Homeless Coalition when we return.